the number one thing that people will say to me on the phone is, when can I let go, Michelle? Like, I'll have families that are pre-planning and saying, oh, I need care for my mom or for my spouse, but I'm not ready yet. Can you help me, Michelle? When will I be ready? And I always say that's on your journey.
Yeah.
But if you've already asked me that question, you are ready.
Right. Oh, wow.
You're your person and you have these strengths, right? Now, this caregiver, she has her strengths. So let's work with her strengths and see how it blends with what your needs are.
There are people who experience death all day long and you're like, baby, your energy is so light. And then there are people that you're like, you know, you're just heavy. So how do you keep this light spirit? Like, what do you do for yourself?
I think even in those heaviest moments, you see God.
Welcome to Comfortable Conversations. I'm your host, Jas Kirk, where we dive into the greatest gift life can offer you, discomfort. A theme that I always say is discomfort brings you home. And oftentimes people are like, what does that mean? It means going on a journey towards yourself, going on a journey within. The one thing discomfort is challenging, painful, scary, fearful. But if you walk into that lion's den, I promise, on the other side, you will feel liberated. You will experience joy in a new way. You will really connect with happiness where it's not this fleeting feeling that you're chasing, but this experience that you're lucky to have each and every day. And so every guest that I have, we've sat and talked about their discomfort, the experiences that they've had, that they've persevered through, and the version of that individual that you all get to see, I'm just like, pinch me, because the success they've found after that discomfort is something you cannot explain. Sometimes you're like, holy crap, God really is living and breathing. And so today's guest, Dr. Michelle Rankine, Ph.D., is a business leader and entrepreneur with more than 20 years of experience across education, sports, and healthcare. She is originally from Jamaica. She earned her Ph.D. in higher education from the University of Denver. She holds a master's degree in sports management and a pedagogy administration and a bachelor's in kinesiology from Purdue University. She was motivated by a personal family experience when her brother was diagnosed as paraplegic after an accident. Dr. Michelle transitioned her career into entrepreneurship. She now owns and operates 3 right-at-home franchises in North Texas, providing in-home care services, and on top of that, added a Fastest Labs franchise to her portfolio in 2022. Her work focuses on expanding access to caregiving services, building sustainable business models in healthcare, and creating economic empowerment within her community. Welcome, Michelle.
Hi.
Just reading that, I was like, when you think about, or if people watch like Investors and Shark Tank and just looking at the state of where we are, development is so huge. So just even reading that, I was like honored to be like, wow, you are doing powerful things.
Thank you. Thank you. And you even said it with a Jamaican accent. Can I tell you?
I tried just a little bit, y'all. We practiced her name at the beginning. So
I loved it.
I did a little bit. I went to Jamaica once and I loved it there.
Good.
So
no, thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm excited to be here and to talk about it and to hopefully inspire somebody else as well.
You most definitely will. So I really want to start with just like, why franchise? Why have franchises? Being a person of color who owns a franchise, specifically in Texas, but within the nation, like, how does that feel? Like, take us through the joy, the fun in that, because the hard work we know is there. Yeah. It's a guarantee.
I think the fun in it is that it's already been done. You know, I think when you have an entrepreneurial spirit, you want to take something and make it your own, right? And you have that flexibility with a franchise, but then you have a model that is proven so you can't fail. So it's kind of like, you know, when you have fear, but then you have your faith too, and you're like battling with it as an entrepreneur, like, I know I can do this, but God, please take me through this. I felt secure because I had coaching, I had support that when I had great ideas that the franchise actually adopted, you have the opportunity to make something that's just your office global. And I'm part of an international franchise, and that's what I appreciate about it. I don't think all franchisors are the same, but I've been blessed that with Right at Home, as you're navigating that process, it's like dating. You have to find the fit. And for me, with choosing Right at Home, that was a great fit for me.
I think being in business for myself, that is one thing you always hear advisors or mentors share. It's the fit. They always say all money isn't good money. Every relationship may not be the best relationship. Are you in alignment? So it's great to hear, like, even on the franchising side, like, this is all work you need to do. And is a little bit of that, like, personal development and growth, that then you have the knowledge and information to then journey on that side of things.
Yeah, I think when you're with a franchise, you have so much ability to have freedom, but curated in a sense of, okay, you want to reach this direction, you want to reach this financial goal, or you're trying to serve this many people. Okay, let's reverse engineer this and tell you how we can get you there. And just having the coaching continuously, as well as a support network, other franchises, other franchisees, that has been great leverage for me. Because I have someone that I can call in Houston, in Dallas, all around me that's doing the same thing I'm doing. And I think when you're a solo entrepreneur, you don't have the opportunity to talk to someone who's doing exactly what you do. And so you can go through pain together and go through wins together.
Yeah.
And I think that was what has really taken off from my business, is that I like to share information and I get to share it with my peers. Like, hey, this worked. You try it.
Yeah.
And then we just keep seeing how it works. And
You're not repeating.
Yeah.
You're not reinventing the wheel.
Exactly.
You have a tried and true system, and then you're just like plug and play. I love that.
I appreciate it.
I love that. I lean heavily on the people who've done it before me, and I take so much advice from individuals who are like, this is not specifically something you can plug, like it may not apply in that way, but a lot of the information given is still applicable in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
So there's successes with franchising, right?
Yes.
But also what's happening within the healthcare industry right now. That's the industry you're in. And so politics, our current climate, it's a lot going on. So take us just through, like, I really want to lean on the positives of what you're seeing and what you guys are doing.
Well, I think in my industry, specifically with home care, I think it's good to start from like pre-COVID, post-COVID, and where we are now.
Okay.
Because that has shifted the industry. And I think pre-COVID, it was more like home is good, but we'd always seek other options. But when COVID happened, it's like, no, we know now, research shows, home is the best place for someone to get the best care until it's not.
Yeah.
So how do we make home more comfortable? So we've seen a surge in business for us, and more hospitals, more home health, more other divisions that we really didn't have access to originally now want to bring us in, because we know if we can make the home environment more secure, more amicable for them to live continuously at home, then how can we just make this better? Like, how can other providers come into play and make their experience at home when they have a post-surgical, they have a knee surgery? How do we make sure that they're safe and they're doing the right things? And I think what I've noticed now, pre-COVID, post-COVID actually, is that you have so many people that are single. I care for so many people who live alone.
Oh, wow.
And so when you think of just the simplicity of going to your doctor appointment, or I have a friend recently that called me and said, hey, I'm having a colonoscopy. I don't even have someone to pick me up.
Yeah.
And those simple things we take for granted because we're all in different places.
Yeah,
and so
independent.
Yeah. And if you think, oh yeah, I'll just get an Uber, I know how to navigate life. But when healthcare and something happens to you, even if you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, you need support from someone else. And I think where we are now out of COVID, it is the planning of when something happens to me, who do I call?
So I have a few questions there. And I was just like, oh my God. One, I think in general, anybody can take out home is your base.
Yeah.
How is home? Keep home in order, but also not being alone and like having that tribe of people you can call on, not just in an emergency.
Right.
You want those people and need to be able to name those people in those moments. And I don't even think it's just in an emergency. It's like in general, like, hey, I'm going to the doctor. Like someone actually will go with you. Like a good friend will be like, sure, let me figure something out. But if you tell me in enough time, I'll go.
Right.
And the other really big question I have is like, this is a hard topic, right? You know, single, there's a lot of people who are single, but how do you still find the joy in the work that you do and like the help that you're giving to people in your team and all of that?
I think when you make the choice that you want to do caregiving, it is a healing journey continuously. And so for me, when I made the decision that this is where I want to go as a profession, I knew it was going to be healing for me. One, for what I went through to come to this with my brother's accident, but also what I witness every day. Yeah. And so when you have learned the lessons, and I say the continuous lessons, because it's a roller coaster.
Yeah.
It never completely goes away. It's just, you're knowing how, I like to always say, it's like when you're driving and your GPS says recalculating, you know, you make a couple wrong turns and it says recalculating. So I feel like as any of my caregivers, I tell them life is happening to all of us at all times. And how do we recalculate and not make it shift too much?
Yeah.
And so I think for anyone that makes a decision to be a caregiver, you have to be able to be patient and be able to recalculate. And that is a gift not everyone can do.
Yeah.
It is really a strong calling to serve people in that way and just be so empathetic and so giving of yourself. And that's something that as a owner of a home care, I watch to make sure that I pour into them because they're constantly giving to my clients, to the families. And I want to make sure they're okay. And that is my mission. My mission is to take care of my clients, but I need to make sure I care for my caregivers because they're the ones that are caring for our clients. And if they're great, then my clients are great.
Yeah. So it's this compassionate leadership.
Yes.
As a leader, as a founder, as a business owner, the front line are your people.
Yes.
And in the healthcare industry, you know, there are a lot of statistics of the employees' mental health, like in hospitals, the burnout, being overworked, too many hours. Obesity is something that this industry is beginning to experience because of the eating habits, because of the long hours. So it's beautiful to hear like your number one priority is your team, and then your team can be better for the clients that you then serve.
Yes.
And so you also brought up the healing journey. Didn't expect that. For me, I share this in so many guests that we've had. We don't realize what like discomfort was this invitation to a healing journey of self. And so when you brought that up, I'm like, okay, what happened? What healing journey did you have to embark on that now has become three franchises under you?
Yeah. So for myself, that was 2011. My brother was in a car crash and he was paraplegic. And at that time, to be quite honest, I thought pursuing my dream. I was a sports junkie and I was working for the United States Olympic Committee. And I thought like, oh my God, this is my dream job and I'm doing all the things. And when you see someone lose something that is so dear to them, their legs, right? And he can't function the same way, I was like devastated.
Yeah.
I was truly devastated. And I crazily, and sometimes I'm like, I don't know what, I just think sometimes life just happens to you. Yeah. I really can't say what exactly. I never really pursued entrepreneurship, but when I watched what my brother went through with his therapy, when we hired a caregiving agency, and really the failures in it, right? And I think for my mom and myself, we're a trio, I should say. My mom, my brother, and I are a unit. Yeah. My father wasn't really involved.
Yeah. Is that what they say? A throuple.
we are each other's unit, right? Yeah. And so when that happened, I felt like our unit wasn't the same, because he then had this accident. It was shifted. My mom stopped working. I stopped working. I was working kind of remotely, but we all took time off, a long time off. And when we were there helping him, we realized, like, I was going to do day shift, mom was going to do night shift, and we were just going to do this because we know we can do it. We're strong women. We're going to do everything. And we didn't leave space for others to help us because we're just so strong. Yeah. We're also Taurus women. Yeah, so we were so strong. We didn't leave that. And it really took a great social worker to be like, y'all can't keep doing this. Okay. And that's why, those great profession. And that's how we got into caregiving. And we've heard of it. We had family members who were caregivers, but we just didn't know how to put it into practice of what we needed. And we didn't give space for others to come help us. Yeah. Does that make sense? And I think for anyone in their caregiving journey, just like with my brother, you want to help your loved one, but you have to allow others to help.
Okay, so that makes me have this huge question of, like, you have someone who's healing and they've had their extremely traumatic experience, if that's physical, mental, you name it. We fixate and we bring so much attention to that individual, but now this is a huge conversation about the family, the spouse, the support. How do they feel? What are they growing through? Like this, I feel like this is a conversation that's opening up. Like, there's empathy and compassion needed on both sides of the spectrum. And so you guys kind of had that with someone saying, you can't carry the load.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think caregivers right now, that is who needs the most support. Okay. Because you can get the medical, you can get the emotional and the therapeutic for the patient. You can get that kind of outline.
Yeah, check it off.
Yeah, there are things, and the caregiver's making sure it's done, right? But as we know, caregivers are the ones who will pass before the actual patient. They will be more stressed because even if they have all the means in the world, and even if they don't, they still have the same level of stress because it carries a level of guilt. Because I want to do all my time to help this person. How can I be okay with doing this for me now? And it is a constant up and down battle. And I think right now, when I have anyone come to our agency, we're like, okay, have you found a support group? Because for them, because the caregiver needs it, because this is a hard job. Anyone who has done caregiving knows it is 24/7. You're waking up in the middle of the night. You're thinking, did I do everything that I was supposed to do? And then we're changing roles. And I think that's the big identity shift, because I'm not sister anymore. I'm not mother. I'm caregiver. And so I need to make sure I've done everything on my caregiving. And I think if you have the means and you have the ability to take breaks and get respite care when necessary and leave the role of caregiving to a professional caregiver. Mm-hmm. So you can hold the role as mom, sister, wife, friend, whatever. That's the only way you can manage it, because it's so hard.
I think something I'm hearing is this capacity. And I think oftentimes we're like, I can carry the 5,000 tons. And it's like, babe, you're still human. You are not Superman. You can't run through the wall. Like, you don't actually have the capacity to hold all of that. And you don't need to. So it's like teaching a culture of just human beings. Like, it's okay to be human. It's okay to lean on community. It's okay to lean on something greater than yourself. A lot of that's faith, but I think with faith, we think we're strong enough for anything.
Yeah. To lead to that, I'll tell you, the number one thing that people will say to me on the phone is, when can I let go, Michelle? Like, I'll have families that are pre-planning and saying, oh, I need care for my mom or for my spouse, but I'm not ready yet. Can you help me, Michelle? When will I be ready? And I always say that's on your journey.
Yeah.
But if you've already asked me that question, you are ready.
Right. Oh, wow.
You are ready. And I think the other piece with it is, most people, once they have someone coming to home, they want the replica of them. Oh, well, no, you haven't done
it my way.
Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the things I always try and educate families is, you're your person and you have these strengths, right? Now, this caregiver, she has her strengths. So let's work with her strengths and see how it blends with what your needs are. And it's as simple as, and this is always so funny to me, everyone has certain foods they love to eat, right? And so they're like, well, I want chicken fried steak or, whatever is on the menu. And so I want her to be able to cook that. And I'm like, well, the strength of the caregiver is actually to care for the person, not a chef.
Yeah.
So we want to set real expectations.
Yeah, like she may not make her favorite food.
Not the way you want, So the roles and responsibilities, because that one thing to someone who has been the caregiver 24/7 will say, oh no, I don't want anyone else back in my home, And it's like, you have to let go the control. And that is a big piece we struggle with.
Yeah, but that's a life lesson for anybody across any industry. You said two things: let go, and if you're asking the question, you're ready. Like I was like, don't let me tear up. How many times are we like, what about this? And you're like, you're ready. Don't worry, you're ready. But also this, you have your strengths, stand in them. But when someone comes along, they're not meant to be a replica of you. They're meant to fill in the other gaps. I feel like we just got a sermon there that like all the things we think faith is, and it's zone out a little bit more.
Yeah. It's so funny because I literally just had this conversation last night with a lovely lady on the phone for her mom. And so it just connects for me too as well, because I can't tell you how often I say it.
So when my grandmother had ovarian cancer, I have 7 aunts and uncles. So my
big family.
Yeah, grandma, mom, she had 4. But I remember my uncle was a firefighter and paramedic, and he was really, really great at being really strong, sharing with the family what's going on. And then I had an auntie that she was always, she was a deacon in the church. So she was very big on being positive, having the strength for everyone. And I remember asking her, how do you carry all of this?
Yeah.
How are you every day seeing death in its face? Because grandma is, shriveling, really going away day by day. And my mom was the one who, she would cry all the time, and they'd say, you cannot come in the room because we need her to have all of her strength. But I was just in awe, how are you able to show up? And my auntie said, my faith. So the one thing that I did notice just with my grandma was, how she felt. I could tell, I remember the 4th of July was coming up, and I said to her, Grandma, what do you want? What do you want to eat for the 4th of July? Just making it light. And she said, baby, I'm not going to be here. And I, something in her knew, but I was like, no, don't say that. And she just looked at me fine, if nobody wants to hear that, I know time is almost coming. And I remember sitting there with her and just receiving okay, you're not going to be here. And I remember wanting to tell my mom and my aunties, but I was like, no, that was the moment with my grandma that I'm you won't be here, but I'll still make your favorite. Sorry, this makes me tear up, because I was just I'll still make your favorite cupcakes or whatever. But I saw sometimes they're carrying a strength because they feel us. And I get why there's this need for someone in between to really be that liaison, in the sense of like the reality of what's happening versus like you projecting your hope and your wishes and your everything, when they're like, I'm giving everything I got.
Yeah. You speak to, I think when you're in the role, I think for myself, getting into this industry, I'd never witnessed death as much as I do now, because we work alongside hospice, right? And I can carry it when it's not my family.
Yeah.
And when I had to be at bedside with my father when he was on hospice and my stepdad, I'm so happy that I had this career, because I knew to have the support there so I could be that daughter. And just everything that you mentioned, from what your mom said in regards to, as soon as you said it, I said surrender. Because when someone says, you know, this, we know this person is dying, and we have to come with this positive energy, I'm amazed when I see family, and I witnessed that with my mom. She did not, I will cry on the drop of a dime. Okay, I'm crying now, because she did not let me go in the room to see my brother, because she was like, Michelle, until you get right, you can't come in here with that energy. And after everything happened, I said, wow, to be that strong in that moment is something that I saw my mom do before I got into this industry, right?
Yeah.
And I do that now. I don't cry when I'm at the bedside with someone passing.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm there actively when it's happening, you know? And I can carry that for the other person so they can have that moment with their loved one. And when you can just surrender and say no to some things, like, I don't want that experience for them. That is a certain level of strength that I give to any family member.
Yeah.
And those are creating those good boundaries. And I'm happy when I see that. I'm like, okay, this is good. This is good. So if we've created this boundary, now we can create this other boundary where I can help you.
I think that's really powerful to know. Like, because anybody can relate to that. There's a surrender that you're like, hey, not your way. What will be done, but not your way.
Right.
Let it go. Let's walk away. And that's really, really, really powerful. So how do you like to sit with death every day? Has to be just heavy. How do you keep this lighthearted spirit and energy? Y'all aren't here with me with Michelle right now, but just like seeing her come in, giving her a hug, like there are people who experience death all day long and you're like, baby, your energy is so light. And then there are people that you're like, you know, you're just heavy. So how do you keep this light spirit? Like, what do you do for yourself?
I think even in those heaviest moments, you see God. And you see it in different ways. I love the experience when someone's passing and they leave the windows open and you just take a moment to hear what birds are outside. I was with one family and it always brings me chills. A little ladybug came and flew on their, not my hand, on the family's hand.
Oh, wow.
And it was like, oh my God, what does that mean? What does that mean? And there's just different things that happen during that period of time. And I think you have to find the joys, like we were talking about earlier. There is a joy in everything. This person lived their life, and that is not the end. You know, their spirit is still there. And so I never really, you know, it's painful. You grieve their presence, but at the same time, it's like they lived a great life. Right? And there's joy in everything. So for myself, I always live in affirmations.
Yeah.
I live in it every day. I have shower affirmations. Actually, I have things that I stick and I talk to myself. And you have to be strong in your faith.
Yeah.
Hands down strong in your faith. I think, you know, when you're present with pain often, that's when you know your faith. You know, you just know your faith at that moment. And so I see it every day. I always try and find happiness. There is something that is going to make me smile.
Yeah, there's joy, but it makes you wish to live a full life. And a full life is really just a simple life. Like you share the window being open and you hear the birds chirping or the breeze that hits between your ears. Like, I tell people all the time, like, that's my, self-care practice, is really just going on a walk or drinking my coffee, nothing on, and being in that moment where I'm between my inhale and exhale and I feel it.
Yeah.
That's so powerful. So as we there's a few things there. I feel like within the healthcare industry, I don't want to get back to like politics and policy, but I do want to shed light on like what's happening and what you are seeing, and like how you're educating your clients, educating your team on where healthcare is going or trending.
I think right now the biggest thing happening in healthcare, which I ask people to do, is be advocates and really speak to what the needs are. I've had a conversation with a recent client, and he's like, write it to your senator. Tell them that we need more resources for caregiving, for caregivers. I think what's sad during our process of healthcare is that sometimes the best care is only if you can afford it.
Yeah.
Right? And that's disheartening at times, especially for myself. I'm in a private pay business. There are other options, and I always try and find other options for people so they can have it. And that's something I'm prideful about, of like making sure anyone that calls, I have a resource if it's not me.
Yeah.
But I think everyone should be fighting for these rights.
Yeah.
Fighting for the rights that you as a caregiver should have options and resources and respite available. You should be fighting that healthcare should be a priority for everyone. I think whatever your role is right now, even with special needs kids, I mean, those are caregivers 24/7, those family members, outside of just an incident. We have to be supporting those people. And I really think like right now, your voice is the strength. So whether you take it to social media or take it to your legislator or, lobby in some way, get involved. And I think that's the biggest thing right now, is that's what we need. People need to hear it.
Yeah. And I think people look at advocacy as something that, until I experience it, until I can relate to it, but your non-stance, you not using your voice is a choice. And you just don't realize you've planted yourself on the side. And like, this is why you have a lot of things being upturned now.
Right.
A lot of things going into place that people are like, I can't believe this. But if you're in it, you can't, because you thought like, it didn't matter what I say. It didn't matter but what I vote. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because 20 years from now, you want that support. You want that care. So you have to give it first. So I love that you said just being an advocate. How did you find yourself being an advocate early on, or are there other things that you also are extremely passionate about?
Being an advocate in regards to
healthcare, but in general.
Yeah, I think I've always been like that. It's funny because I had to really think about it. I've always wanted to help people in a way that didn't have the opportunity to be helped. So I always used to volunteer. I don't know if that's a thing in Texas, but in Jersey, it was candy striping. Okay. So when I was in high school, I was a volunteer at the hospital. And one, I loved the cute outfit. It was this cute little pink and white striped, like the stripe outfit you have on. And I got to meet patients and push them around the hospital. Yeah. And I loved that. And I think that's the same joy I find with the people I meet. I never know who I'm going to meet. And I'm like, I want to hear your story. And actually, while I was doing my doctorate, I went back to Jamaica. And at times, volunteering in a third world country, sometimes they're used to groups. But I literally walked in the hospital like, how can I volunteer? And they looked at me like,
do you? Like, what's going on?
And they gave me a process. They were like, we don't even know what the process is for you to do this. And it took a little while. And that was probably some of the most meaningful work I've ever done, is because I showed up every day. I became friends with everyone. They call it the wards. And it was just companion care. And I saw a difference. And then I had a trust with the staff, and they're like, okay, can you help us in the burn unit? Can you help us in other parts of the hospital? And I love that. And so for me, the advocacy doesn't have to be big. Sometimes it's just small to volunteer at Meals on Wheels in your community, that's advocating that food insecurity is an issue and it's part of our health, you know? So
it's showing up, like seeing people for who they are. I remember having an event when I was a lead running run clubs, and it was for Juneteenth, but around the same time as Pride. And so are you okay to like combine Juneteenth and Pride? And it was like, absolutely, because at the end of the day, we're all one. Like we're fighting for the same things, to be seen, heard, and felt for who we are, exactly where we are. So if you're on the side of Pride, you can now relate to what Juneteenth is. And if you're on the side of Juneteenth, you can now relate to the Pride side of things. Right. So that just being an advocate to show up for others, that simply says, I hear you, I see you. And I think that's just like being a good human being. Yes. So before we leave, what is an uncomfortable conversation that we haven't had today that you want to bring and make comfortable for people?
What is an uncomfortable conversation? I think the biggest uncomfortable conversation as it relates to home care is, that's a hard one. Would definitely be how do I deal with the aftermath? I think we don't talk about it. And I say aftermath to define it as, let's say you've done caregiving for your loved one for a long period of time. And like you mentioned with the story of your grandmother, you're watching them decline. Yeah. And then they pass. And if you were the primary person 24/7, how do you live your life now?
What is my identity now?
Yes, without that person. And I think for a lot of people that I speak to, sometimes that journey is 7, 10, 12 years of caring for someone and being that primary person for a long time. And now that's gone, what do I do?
Who am I?
Right.
They have to relearn themselves.
And so I'm always encouraging that aftermath period, get support, find groups, because they call it the aftermath because it is that. It is trauma. Yeah. It is trauma. One, to just grieve someone, the loss, and then exactly what you mentioned, your identity and role within that. And so that is a process within itself. And I find that what ends up happening, and it's kind of like the process of healthcare, that you find that a lot of people who have gone through that aftermath, just like myself, then you come into healthcare because you're like, how can I now be this advocate for others? Yeah. Right? And I find a lot of, especially my seniors, they're volunteers now for hospice, or they're volunteers in other capacities in healthcare because they're wanting to give that same feeling for others and support. And now the reflection of what maybe they needed and that they weren't open to.
Yeah, I love that, because it's also like the grief journey. Yeah. And that's just something that anybody can experience, right? And so within that journey, there's this forgiveness. And within forgiveness, there's this like shame, blame, and like just this rebuilding and that identity of self. That's why I said it was just like we all kind of experience that, and then you're rebirthed into this version that's like, I want to give more than I take. Yeah. And I think it's just really, really beautiful. So the aftermath is just like really powerful. But throughout this entire conversation, and even throughout just other guests or conversations I've had, discomfort and community go hand in hand. Like you cannot do anything alone. You need people. Yeah. The strength of yourself is like cool, but with you're stronger, smarter, better, just everything with people. Yes. And before, during, and after you need people. So yes. I love that. So Michelle, thank you.
Well, thank you
for holding this conversation with us. It has been an honor. I learned so much. I'm somewhere like, what I got to surrender today. And if I'm here, I'm ready. I'm ready. So thank you all for joining us today. Please, Michelle, how can people stay connected to you?
You can find me on my website. It's www.rahdfw.com, or you can find me on my Instagram. It's Michelle Rankine, Ph.D. But yeah, that's how you can find me.
Well, thank you once again. It has been
Oh, give me a hug. Ooh,
that was so freaking good.
that was good.